Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really glad you're here with us because today we're going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely a change of pace.
Normally, we take a massive stack of dense research papers or, a sprawling investigative report, and we try to distill it down and make sense of it all for you.
Right.
But today, the primary source material we're looking at seems, at first glance anyway, incredibly simple.
Oh, almost deceptively simple.
Exactly. It's a very short, very unassuming gardening blog post from March 5th, 2026. Barely 200 words long, and it is entirely about a single plant, Thai basil.
And it really is a masterclass in how appearances can be deceiving.
Okay.
Because if you just read those 200 words and clicked away, you would miss the entire story happening just beneath the surface.
Which brings us to the mission of this deep dive. By zooming out and looking at the entire source page surrounding this one little post.
The sidebar, the massive archives.
Right, the project lists,
Yeah.
the author's bio.
Yeah.
We're going to use all of that to decode the mindset of a master learner. We're going to explore how someone takes the rigorous, systematic thinking, usually reserved for complex software engineering, and applies it to everyday life.
To hobbies, and to the very act of learning itself.
And our guide for this, whether he intended to be or not, is the author of this site, Kian Mengang.
He describes himself in his About section as an old software plumber who spends his nights tinkering with free Libre and open source software.
Often abbreviated as FLOSS.
Right, floss saws. But the deeper we look into the site, we see he tinkers with a whole lot more than just software.
Oh, absolutely.
The true value of this source isn't the gardening advice, although, the gardening advice is actually quite specific and useful.
It is.
But the real treasure here is the framework of relentless curiosity and the meticulous documentation that the architecture of this page reveals.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
If we just look at the microview, this single post about basil, what is actually happening? It's titled Notes on Gardening Part 825, Leggy Seedlings again.
And right away, Part 825 should be a massive clue that something much bigger is going on here.
Yeah, we will definitely get to that in a moment. But the post itself details a very relatable gardening dilemma. The author's Thai Basil seedlings. And he makes sure to note the scientific name for his records.
Which is a great detail.
Right. Osmum basilicum thersiflora, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Anyway, his seedlings are getting leggy. They're stretching out, looking spindly and weak.
And he correctly notes from his reading that this means they aren't getting enough direct sunlight.
Right.
They need at least 6 to 8 hours, so the plants are physically reaching, expending all their energy trying to find more light rather than growing strong stems.
A very standard textbook gardening observation.
It is.
But then we get a glimpse into that tinkerer's curiosity.
Yeah.
He notes that the seeds were affordable and the germination rate was surprisingly high.
Almost too high.
Yeah. He has a ton of these little leggy seedlings on his hands.
I think what's fascinating here is his immediate reaction to this small success. Because, a lot of us would just thin the seedlings out, keep the strongest 2 or 3, and throw the rest in the compost bin without a second thought.
Exactly. Just toss them.
Instead, he writes, I'm wondering how to grow them on a larger scale.
Yes.
And he goes on, not for commercial reasons, but I'm curious on finding an effective way to grow a bigger batch since we have so many seeds available.
He explicitly states it's not for commerce.
No, it's pure, unfiltered curiosity about scaling a process. He has a surplus of inputs, the seeds, and he just wants to engineer a system to handle them efficiently.
It's the ultimate engineer's mindset applied to a windowsill garden.
Right.
And then comes the punchline of the post. He realizes that if he wants to scale up his basil production, he needs a physical place to put them.
Of course.
He writes, perhaps it's finally time to revisit that long-pending plant rack project. I've been postponing it for many moons now.
It's such a human moment.
It really is.
Because it highlights this universal obstacle, the infrastructure project, that delays the actual hobby.
Oh, man.
How often do you find yourself wanting to do something? Paint a picture, write some code, organize your garage, but you tell yourself you can't start until you build the perfect desk.
Or configure the perfect software environment.
Or buy the perfect shelving unit.
The classic yak shaving problem.
Yes.
I am incredibly guilty of this. I remember a few years ago wanting to learn how to play the acoustic guitar.
Okay.
But I somehow convinced myself I couldn't possibly start practicing until I built a custom humidity-controlled wall mount for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 6 months went by, I had no wall mount, and I definitely wasn't playing any guitar.
It's a trap.
It is. You want to grow basil, but first you have to build a rack. But to build a rack, you need to buy wood. But to buy wood, you need to clear out the trunk of your car.
It never ends.
It never ends. So it's weirdly comforting to know that even highly systematic thinkers have projects sitting on the back burner for many moons.
It's comforting, sure, but it's funny he mentions putting off that plant rack project, because if you look at the rest of his site, putting things off is definitely not his usual style.
Not at all.
While the plant rack has been delayed, his intellectual output certainly hasn't been.
Not even a little bit. If you drag your eyes away from the basil post and look at the sidebar of this website, specifically the projects list,
Oh, the list is amazing.
the sheer breadth of topics is staggering. It reads less like a blog and more like the syllabus for a university designed by a polymath.
Totally.
Let me just rapid fire some of these project categories for you so you can get a sense of this.
Go for it.
We have notes on fish keeping, which includes dedicated separate logs for betta fish spawning and miscellaneous fish spawning.
Okay.
We have notes on photography, notes on dieting, notes on home improvement, notes on guitar, notes on meditation, and notes on AI.
And woven all throughout that incredibly diverse list are the deeply technical software projects.
Right.
Notes on Elixir Erlang programming, Python programming, Haskell, Go, Rust, and Perl.
It's a huge range.
We are talking about vastly different programming paradigms here, sitting right next to notes on how to breed a betta fish.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we start to see the genius of this notes on framework. Think about what a programming language actually is. It is a strict logical system with predictable rules. You write code, you compile it, you run it, you debug it.
Yes.
If you make a syntax error, the computer tells you exactly where you messed up.
Yeah.
Now, look at a bougainvillea plant.
Or a spawning fish.
Or a human attempting to change their diet. These are organic, chaotic, highly unpredictable things.
They don't have a compiler to tell you where you made an error.
No.
But what this author is doing is applying the systematic documentation process of a software engineer to that chaotic organic world.
Yes.
He's treating his garden and his aquariums like complex software projects. He is logging his variables, documenting his errors like the Leggy seedlings, and iterating on his solutions.
It's amazing.
It is quite literally an open source approach to everyday life. He's treating his own experiences as a code base that can be continuously improved.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
If you scroll down past the projects to the archive timeline, you realize the true scale of what we are looking at.
It's wild.
This isn't just someone who has a lot of hobbies. This is someone with a level of consistency that borders on the superhuman. The archives span from 2011 all the way to 2026.
And the numbers within those years are what truly tell the story.
If you actually crunch the numbers on his archives, a really staggering picture emerges. In 2023, there are 730 posts.
Right.
In 2024, which was a leap year, there are 732 posts. In 2025, back to 730 posts.
It's incredible.
If you divide that by the days in the year, the implication is perfectly clear. This author is publishing exactly 2 posts a day, every single day, without fail, for years.
To put that into perspective for you, let's just look at the first few days of March 2026, the month our Thai Basil post comes from.
Let's do it.
Just in that 1 week, you see the variety happening simultaneously. He publishes gardening parts 822 through 827.
Wow.
And that covers not just the basil, but a gelatinous pear, the bougainvillea journey, and maximizing plant propagation.
And at the exact same time, he is publishing Haskell programming parts 71 through 76.
Right. And we should pause to note what that actually entails. Haskell is a highly complex mathematical functional programming language.
It is not easy.
No. In those posts, he is dealing with guards, which are basically strict conditional statements you put on your code to control the logic flow.
Okay.
It requires intense, rigid thinking. To be working on that in the morning and then pivoting to why a gelatinous pear isn't growing properly in the afternoon, it shows incredible mental elasticity.
And he doesn't stop there. He's also publishing networking parts 11 and 12, where he is actively analyzing the new Wi-Fi 7 standards.
Oh, man.
Plus fish keeping parts 203 to 205, covering water parameters for his aquariums. All of this in a single week.
I want you, the listener, to really consider this level of discipline, because it is easy to look at those numbers and feel completely overwhelmed.
Absolutely. But wait, I have to ask.
Yeah.
If you're writing 2 blog posts a day, every single day, Doesn't that eventually just become noise?
That's a fair question.
How is he actually getting value out of this, rather than just marching toward inevitable burnout?
That is the crucial question, and it speaks to the core of his method.
Okay.
The secret here isn't that he is writing polished, Pulitzer-worthy masterpieces twice a day. The secret is the habit of learning in public.
Right.
These are notes on. They are literally just notes. By committing to this format, the daily notes on and his weekly This Week in Review, the author is building a massive, searchable, external brain.
An external brain. I like that. So he's offloading the burden of remembering everything.
Precisely. Think about how much mental energy we waste trying to remember the solution to a problem we solved 6 months ago.
So much time.
He doesn't have to remember. If he encounters a bug in Haskell, he writes it down. If his seeds get leggy, he writes it down.
It's all there.
The consistency removes the friction of perfectionism. It becomes a reflex. He isn't trying to be an expert in every post. He is simply trying to be present with his own learning process.
What's really beautiful is that you can see that reflex develop over time.
Yeah, you really can.
Because if you look at the early years in the archive, he wasn't always at 730 posts a year.
Right.
He didn't just wake up one day with superhuman discipline. In 2011, there were 26 posts.
That's very normal.
In 2017, there were 77. In 2020, it hits 366,601 a day.
A huge leap.
Then 541 in 2021. And finally hitting that 2-a-day stride in 2022. You're watching the habit form in real time over a decade.
Which naturally segues into the philosophy driving all of this output. This isn't just an external brain for his own benefit.
No.
It is an incredibly generous public resource.
And we can see the values driving that generosity in the do support and sponsor sections of the blog sidebar.
Yeah.
The author explicitly asks his readers to support a specific set of organizations. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF, the Free Software Foundation, the FSF, the Tor Project, and Wikipedia.
Now, looking at this conceptually without taking any political stance on these specific organizations, it is vital to unpack what they all have in common and why an old software plumber would champion them.
Okay.
They are all deeply dedicated to the principles of free information, digital privacy, and open, unhindered access to knowledge.
It's the classic hacker ethos, right? In the original positive sense of the word.
Exactly. It's the belief that information shouldn't be locked behind walled gardens, subscription models, or proprietary corporate systems.
Yeah.
The internet was originally envisioned as a place for the free exchange of ideas, and these organizations fight to maintain that architecture. The author clearly lives that ethos in his own life.
He does. He has a very standard disclaimer on the site,
Yeah.
noting that opinions are his own and that the content is for informational purposes only, and he accepts no liability.
Standards.
But if you connect that standard legal disclaimer to the sheer volume of his work, it takes on a completely different tone.
It really does.
He is giving away 15 years of daily learnings completely for free.
From his Perl modules of the week, the PLMOTW post, to his MOOC notes, which are his notes from massive open online courses.
Wow.
He is taking his own educational journey and making it open source. He's essentially saying to the world, here is how I am trying to understand the universe, take it or leave it, for free.
It makes you think about how often we hoard our own knowledge.
All the time.
There's a real psychological barrier there. We suffer from imposter syndrome. We wait until a project is perfectly finished, or until we feel like an absolute undeniable expert before we share our process with anyone else.
Absolutely.
We hide the messy middle because we're afraid of looking foolish or inexperienced. But this entire site is a monument to the value of sharing your works in progress.
Yes.
The messy middle is the whole point.
Yes. The messy middle is where the actual learning happens. When you share the troubleshooting process, why the basil got leggy, or why the code won't compile, or how the water chemistry in the aquarium shifted,
You're saving someone else.
you are providing a roadmap for the next person who runs into that exact same problem.
Yep.
You are saving them time, and you are contributing to a collective pool of knowledge.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now? I think the most empowering lesson from Qianming Ang's incredible digital garden is that you do not need to be a master of a subject to document it.
You really
You
don't.
don't need to write a textbook. You just need to be observant and honest about where you are in your journey.
Yes.
Whether you are dealing with a complex functional programming language like Haskell, or just trying to figure out why your Thai Basil is stretching out toward the sun, there's immense, profound value in simply taking notes on your daily experiments.
And this raises an important question. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. We've just looked at the architecture of a 15-year daily habit. If this author has meticulously logged a decade and a half of daily troubleshooting, from the erratic organic behavior of spawning fish to the rigid mathematical logic of coding bugs,
Yeah.
what hidden patterns about human learning and problem solving might be buried within that massive timeline?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. If you could feed all 5,000 plus posts into an analysis tool, what universal truths about how we adapt to failure, how we pivot, and how we learn would emerge from that data?
That is a genuinely fascinating concept. The sheer volume of data points on one person's learning process.
But more importantly, let's turn that lens on you. If you had started logging your own daily notes on your life 15 years ago, just raw, unpolished observations of your obstacles, your hobbies, and your little victories,
Wow.
what incredible patterns would you be able to see in yourself today? How much more would you understand about the way you process the world?
That is a powerful thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the mindset of the ultimate tinker. We hope this conversation inspires you to document your own messy middle, to build your own external brain, to stay relentlessly curious, and hey, maybe it's finally time to go build that plant rack you've been putting off for many moons. Until next time.